towards the basket, misses one.
Well, hello once again, and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Kaleb Gillock, and as always, another great show all the way for you today. I'm joined today by the guy that if you make it out to an IU East volleyball or basketball game, he's the one you hear over the speakers. It's the public address announcer of the Red Wolves, Dennis Hicks. Dennis, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Kaleb. This is great. I thought you were the voice of the Red Wolves.
Well, we've kind of always argued over that. Who really is the voice of the Red Wolves? Is it the broadcast voice? Is it the PA voice? But
well, then we even dress alike.
We do.
Okay.
So
it's all good.
It's all good.
You can be the voice of the Red Wolves until you graduate, and then I stay here.
So I've only got a few weeks left then, is what you're saying.
Well, this is great. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you in here with us today. You're also the campus registrar. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But first of all, just tell us off how you got started as being the public address announcer for IU East.
Wow. You know, I've been here at IU East for 20 years now.
Okay.
So when I got here, there was just club sports, and the club sports weren't very good. I played on the faculty staff basketball team that actually beat the men's team. So we've come a long ways. But you know, when we petitioned for the NAIA for membership in there, I don't know that anyone really even thought about, well, what are we going to do for a public address announcer? It was just never really mentioned. And in fact, the first season, to be honest with you, I'm not sure who did it for this 07-08 season. But when we got to the 08 season, either Mark Hester or somebody said to me, you've got the pipes, you've got the voice. I was the name reader for commencement for 20 years, so had a lot of experience behind the microphone, speaking around the country at a lot of presentations, at conferences. Been a pastor for years. So being in front of a microphone, being in front of people just came natural to me. And someone asked if I would be interested in being the public address announcer for men's basketball. I said, yes, let's do that, and fell in love with it.
All right, and over time, it turned into volleyball too, right?
Well, that's because my daughter came to IU East as a student and volleyball player, and she was on the 09 team.
Okay.
So I became the public address announcer for basketball in 08. Victoria joined volleyball in 09, and she says, well, Dad, if you're good enough to do it for basketball, you should do this for volleyball.
Right.
And so that's how I naturally morphed into doing that, and I've done both sports ever since.
A lot of us that sit there at that table, we know the responsibility that goes along with that job, but the people that are in the bleachers or maybe hear you on the broadcast when we turn it to you over there, they don't know exactly what's going on behind that mic. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
You know, as a public address announcer, and the difference between you and I, you know, you as the broadcast voice for television or radio, the fans depend on you to give play-by-play action. Where I'm sitting as a public address announcer, that's an absolute no-no.
Right.
So the number one thing that I never do is to call play-by-play. I think if there's one task for the public address announcer, and the cliche that sometimes gets tossed around is simply to be the voice above the crowd, keep the crowd informed as to what's going on. Right. Who was that foul called on? There's a break in the action. What's happening? You know, was there a technical foul? So I don't want to state the obvious to the crowd. They know what a two-point basket is.
Right.
So above and beyond the obvious, the crowd is sitting there saying, what's happening? And that's my job, is just to keep them informed as to the flow of the game without interjecting into the game and becoming a play-by-play or a circus barker or a cheerleader. So it's really just to keep them informed.
This has always been explained to me. It's your job to inform, but not be the star of the show.
Don't take away from the action on the court. Yeah.
You're also a member of the National Association of Sports Public Address Announcers.
Yes.
Tell us about what that is.
So, yeah, it's a professional organization that any public address announcer can join and should join, from the high school level all the way into the pros. The National Association of Sports Broadcasting Announcers, NASPA. And it's really good because we get newsletters, we get video clips. You can take courses through them and actually get certified to be a public address announcer. And so it's just a really nice tool just to kind of be reminded of what our job is, what it's not, to be able to listen to people that have been doing it for years.
Sure.
And then there's even the opportunity, they'll even pick a national broadcaster of the year or a public address announcer of the year at all levels, high school, and then the different levels of college and professional. So it's just a really good professional development tool and organization to be a part of.
We also mentioned that you are the campus registrar here at IU East. Are more people intrigued to find out that Dennis, the PA announcer, is also Dennis, the registrar, or Dennis, the registrar, is also Dennis, the PA announcer?
Well, for 30 years as a registrar, I've always been trying to explain exactly what it is that I do as the registrar, including to my family and friends. So, you're the registrar of the university. What does that mean? And I'll try to explain it. And I get some headway, and I can tell that they're nodding off. And then I'll go, and I'm the public address announcer for the sports. And they sit up and go, oh, well, that's pretty neat.
Right.
So, my primary job, they hired me here to be the registrar. And I think I do a pretty good job at that. But I think I get more notoriety, even in town. People will recognize my voice as the public address announcer.
Right.
So it's fun. I enjoy doing it. It's been a blast being the registrar. And the neat thing about being the registrar is I meet so many of these athletes coming in because I'm the person that's certifying them. I'm part of that group of people that certify them for their eligibility.
Right.
Then I have that pleasure of sitting behind the microphone, calling these games for 4 years, and then when that's over, I see these same student athletes come across the stage at commencement, and I get to read their name one more time when they're handed their degree.
That's cool.
So, yeah, it really is. It really is. It's from the first day they come on campus as a recruit until the last day when they walk across campus to get that diploma.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It's really neat. It's very gratifying. And they become so close to you, as you know, over those 4 years.
Oh, yeah, and that's one of the things I think I've always enjoyed about here is, yes, they're the athletes that you see out on the floor. You might not get to hang out with them every day, but it's a neat friendship that you form over
It
time.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, really quick before we go to break, who are some of the favorite opposing coaches or referees that you've ran into over the years?
Oh, wow. They won't see this segment, will they?
Hopefully not. I don't know.
Well, everybody's favorite referee is Brian Sandlin. He's everybody's favorite. We call him Sandy or the Sandman. And the first time I ever sat behind the microphone and he would make a call, and of course you never say anything on the microphone until you're absolutely 100% sure that you understand what the call is from the official. Well, when he makes a call and it's a timeout from the coach and he goes, "That's a little one." I didn't know what he meant by that. He said, "That's a baby timeout," or "That's a little timeout," or "That's a," and I'm like, "What?" And I'm nudging the people next to me saying, "What is that?" And they go, "That's a 30-second timeout." So while I'm used to calling 30-second timeouts and full timeouts, he doesn't do it that way. For him, it's either a baby timeout or it's a big timeout. And he's very animated. He makes the game so enjoyable.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
It's a
great
lot of
guy.
fun. All right, we'll take a quick break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll talk with Dennis about some of his favorite memories while he's been the PA announcer for IU East. We'll take a quick break and return with more Inside IU East Sports.
The leaders of First Bank Richmond encourage their employees to give their best effort towards serving the community. One organization very dear to many First Bank Richmond employees is the Third Grade Reading Academy. First Bank staff volunteers hundreds of hours and even host Academy students on site. Doing great things together stands for First Bank's commitment to continue doing all they can to make life better for their customers and our community. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together.
What if a home phone could also be a smartphone? And what if that home phone could save you money on your home and wireless bill at the same time? With Xfinity Voice, you get amazing technology like readable voicemail on your smartphone, caller ID on your TV, and even text messaging, all for a low price. Start saving with unlimited nationwide talk and text and switch to Xfinity Voice for just $19.99 a month for 12 months. Call 1-800-XFINITY today.
Almost done.
Now you can pay your bill, manage your appointments, and check your connection status. Anytime, anywhere.
Oh, so you're protesting? Okay.
Introducing Xfinity My Account, available on any device.
And we're back here on Inside IUE Sports, talking with the public address announcer of the Red Wolves, Dennis Hicks. He's also the campus registrar. Dennis, we just talked about some of your background here at IU East, but let's talk about some of your favorite memories while you've been sitting behind that microphone. Start with some of your favorite volleyball memories.
Oh, wow. You know, the volleyball program from day one, they were so successful. And, you know, you got to give credit to the original coaches, the Browns, Charlie and Londa when they were here. But, you know, watching the girls play volleyball in the Tiernan Center was, and we can talk about what that's like for both basketball and volleyball in the Tiernan Center. But then when they moved over to the Chuck Mosey gym at Seton, it was nice because you had much more tight-knit feel,
Sure.
and the crowds were so much more interactive. But it was just a blast to see the girls play, and of course to have my daughter out there. I was put up to that. I got to tell you this. If she ever sees this segment, she'll hate me. But the girls, Victoria was part of the class that had Breezy Street and Lauren Crump, Kristen Wechter, you know, a lot of them that really laid the groundwork for the success of the volleyball program. And she didn't get to play as much as the others. But the girls always had told me that if you ever get to introduce Victoria, make it special. And so I did. And the day came, I saw her come off the bench. She was going into her first match. And I introduced her as, and now entering the match, number 14 from Randolph Southern, Victoria. This would be my daughter, Hicks. And the whole place went crazy. And she just stood there and stared at me like, really, Dad, did you have to do that?
Right.
And so that kind of became our little thing, is to be able to introduce my daughter as my daughter into volleyball. So that's probably one of my fondest memories.
That's cool.
And then, of course, to see them get to the point, the volleyball team, where they were winning the KIAC and qualifying for nationals. Real thrill. Yeah.
How about basketball?
Yeah, Victoria didn't play on basketball, so I didn't have that one. So one of my fondest memories, it's funny because to watch that basketball team go from club sports to the national power that they are now. I mean, my goodness, during this year being ranked #1 in the nation. But to watch so many basketball players come through, and that first year, the 2008-2009 season that I was asked to be the public address announcer, I had to match it up with my Registrar calendar, and I'm telling Coach Hester of which games I might miss. And there was one game in particular. I told him, I cannot call this game. It's on a Saturday. It's February 14th of 2009. Well, if you know anything about Coach Hester, he doesn't take no for an answer. He says, well, you've got to call that game. I said, I can't. He says, you better have a good excuse. I said, I do. I'm getting married. And he looked at me and he said, that's no excuse. Make a long story short, I got married that day. And during the reception, I looked up at the clock and realized it was an hour before tip-off. We went to the game in our wedding clothes. I'm in my wedding suit. My wife is in her wedding dress. The entire church was invited to the game. It was at the Tiernan Center. I'm at the microphone, my bride, and the church party is sitting behind me. I'm calling the game February 14th, 2009 against Cincinnati Christian, an hour after I got married. Halftime, somebody else came over, took the microphone, introduced myself and my wife. We went out to center court where Rufus gave us a signed basketball and a rose, and all the players came out and congratulated us.
That's cool.
And it was one of the greatest memories ever, and to this day, people remember that game from almost 10 years ago when my wife and I got married an hour before tip-off.
That's really cool. I was going to ask you what the significance of that date was because it was in my notes. So
yeah.
That's cool.
The women in the crowd, I took a lot of flack from them for that one, but
I'm sure.
but it was a fond memory for both my wife and I. So.
Well, even though that we can't necessarily show that favoritism over the mic all the time, we do have teams that we want to see go down, that we want to see the Red Bulls beat. Who are some of those teams that you just do not like it when they come into
Well, and I don't know if it's a matter if I don't like them or if it's like you say, it's just a matter of if there's a team on the schedule. When you look at that schedule and you say, boy, there is a game we've got to win. In conference, it's got to be IU Southeast. And a lot of that is because of the tradition, the rich tradition that they have of winning at IU Southeast. They were our nemesis for many, many years as Mark Hester built the program here. If there was a team that we were going to stub our toe with in conference, it was IU Southeast. When we started to beat them, you knew you had arrived. Out of conference, it has to be Indiana Wesleyan. We never shied away. Coach Hester never shied away from scheduling Indiana Wesleyan, and they would come in #1 in the nation, having just won a national championship or battled for one. And the day we beat them, they came to our floor as the #1 team in the nation, and we beat Indiana Wesleyan. And the first time we beat IU Southeast, I probably turned into a little bit of a homer behind the microphone. It just happens.
It just happens.
It happens.
Yeah. I can think back to last year when Davenport was in town in early season. They were ranked second or third or whatever. And I think that may have been the most excited I've ever been on the mic just because of the game that was. But yeah, I mean, you talk about teams like Southeast and Indiana Wesleyan, it's a rivalry walking in the door.
Well, and anytime you get a team from the Crossroads Conference that comes in or we go there, and again, if you're going to build a program that's going to be ranked nationally, you have to play the big boys. And we've done that, and we've had success beating them. And that's exciting for the crowd, it's exciting for the players, and it gets exciting for the public address announcer.
I'm sure.
Oh, yes. You got to make sure the microphone is turned off sometimes.
Well, you talked a few minutes ago about that move from the Tiernan Center to Chuck Mosey and now into the Student Events and Activity Center. What's it been like to make that move?
Wow. The biggest thing is you could have 300 or 400 fans show up for a game, a home game in the Tiernan Center, which is a nice crowd for us. Except in the Tiernan Center that seats, as over 4,000 people, it just sounded like you were in an echo chamber. And I would, I'm announcing the starting lineups or I'm calling the game, and it just, you would almost get this echo, and it just didn't feel right. When we moved over to the Student Events and Activity Center here on our campus, and we brought those same 300 or 400 fans in there, wow, it took off.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it took off. It just felt like they were raising the roof. And now we've had a couple of games where the complete sellout. You look over and there's 700 fans over there for an Indiana Wesleyan or whoever. And what an exciting atmosphere to be able to play in your own gym, on your own campus, in front of your fans. It made a huge difference. Yeah.
It's weird you talk about that because I've been in those situations as a PA announcer where the gym's packed and the volume on that PA system is the same it has been all season long, and you can barely hear yourself.
Right.
So that's when you know that that's an exciting game going on there.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that because sometimes my wife is at home and she's watching the WCTV broadcast of a game. If she's got the volume up to listen to me, but all she gets to listen to is you.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to fix that. We got to fix that.
Anything else you want to add about being the PA announcer here at IU?
It's just been a thrill. As you know, we have the best seat in the house. It's the best seat in the house. And even to have the students who work the scorer's table, you develop this camaraderie with them over the 4 years, with yourself, with the players. And again, I hope this doesn't sound too corny, but for me, and this is where it ties together, being the public address announcer and the registrar, when they graduate. Man, nothing gives me more satisfaction is to shake an athlete's hand on that stage, call out their name one more time, and watch them go across in their cap and gown. That's why they're here.
Right.
I mean, we all love the sports, we love the Red Wolf atmosphere, but they're here to get the degree. And for me, that's where the marriage of the public address announcer and the registrar comes together.
All right. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
Well, you get to call my name here in a couple weeks.
Great. It'll be a real pleasure to do that.
For sure. Well, it's been a lot of fun working with you.
All
It's
right.
been fun over these 4 years, and be sure to stay in touch.
And remember who the voice of the Red Wolves is.
I will. Your title now.
Thanks, Caleb.
All right, well, there you have it from Dennis Hicks, the public address announcer for the IU East Red Wolves and the campus registrar here at Indiana University East as well. We'll take a break, come back, and we'll talk with Seth Reynolds about track and field here on Inside IU East Sports.